The blockbuster biopic Oppenheimer has been crowned Best Film at the Oscars with 7 awards. The 96th Academy Awards ceremony was an almost entirely predictable night with few surprises. Thank you for joining us for our roundup of the night with our film critic Ben Kroll. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. Now, Oppenheimer is a crowd pleaser that collected nearly $1 billion in ticket sales, 7 awards in total, including Best Picture and Best Director. It's the first time in years that a big budget, widely watched movie has won that top award. But then Nolan makes art house blockbusters, doesn't he?
He makes art house blockbusters that are most often sold on his name. You know, more than the stars, more than the premise. I think people go to see a Christopher Nolan movie because they want to see a Christopher Nolan movie. The fact that Oppenheimer made nearly $1 billion, met with the fact that Nolan had never won an Oscar before, made last night's haul something of a fait accompli. It was not a big surprise that they just wanted to shower love and acclaim on Hollywood's biggest showman, I think, right now.
And that they did. Oppenheimer has been the front runner in so many categories, and the big awards went as predicted.
And the Oscar goes to Cillian Murphy.
We're in a race against the Nazis. And I know what it means if the Nazis have a bomb.
I have a 12-month head start.
18.
How could you possibly know that?
We've got one hope. All America's industrial might and scientific innovation connected here. A secret laboratory. Keep everyone there until it's done.
So Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Cillian Murphy as the physicist, often dubbed the father of the atomic bomb. He dedicated the prize to peacemakers everywhere. And Robert Downey Jr. won Best Supporting Actor for Oppenheimer. Both of these choices were widely expected and merited, weren't they?
Yeah, well, very well merited. I mean, in fact, Cillian Murphy had never won an Oscar before. Robert Downey Jr. had been nominated twice and had never won before. These are extremely beloved figures of contemporary cinema, that anchored the second biggest film of the year after Barbie. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And so once you had the opportunity to honor, a swath of, the stars that dominate the silver screen, the Avengers dominate the small screen with Peaky Blinders, one of the biggest, most popular series. It was just it was a spread the love around for one specific film and most all of its cast and crew members.
Well, the hugely original Poor Things, that won 4 Oscars, including Best Actress for Emma Stone, her second Oscar after La La Land, and her 4th nomination, and she's only 35.
Yeah, she was in The Favorite, and she is the favorite. You could say that Emma Stone's Oscar win was maybe the biggest surprise of the night. I think Lily Gladstone, the star of Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, was widely expected to win. But even then, in a ceremony that was all about no alarms and no surprises, the fact that Poor Things had won 4 or 5 Oscars, had won 3 Oscars before Emma Stone won, the fact that Emma Stone has been nominated so much made even the biggest shocker heavily foreshadowed.
Okay, well, Stone's win, as you said, meant history was not made by Lily Gladstone, who could have become the first Native American to win an acting Oscar for Killers of the Flower Moon. Best Supporting Actress went to Darvine Joy Randolph for her stunning role in The Holdovers, and the Academy's more international makeup was reflected in the original screenplay Oscar for the French courtroom drama An Anatomy of a Fall.
And the Oscar goes to Anatomy of a Fall.
It will help me through my midlife crisis, I think. This is a crazy year. I want to thank all the cast, of course, Sandra, Swan, Milo, Antoine, all the cast for what you did on set.
There we go, Justine Triet. The French film has been cleaning up on the awards circuit, hasn't it?
The road that started by winning the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival last May, that has now ran through, I think, 20 or 25 international award ceremonies, including the César 2 weeks ago here in Paris, and that culminated on the Oscar stage last night, is really an impressive odyssey for a French film. As they accepted the prize for Best Original Screenplay, the film's co-writers Justine Triet and Arthur Harari, reflected on the origins of the project. You know, they are both co-writers and co-parents. Partners that began working on the project in the dark days of COVID, just as a creative outlet to dull the boredoms of confinement. You have to imagine that back when they were developing the project, just to sort of pass the time, they had no idea they were making what would become the most decorated and awarded French film of a generation.
Yeah, it's a nice story, isn't it?
Vive la France.
It's a lovely story. Moving on now, and Ukraine won its first Oscar for the documentary 20 Days in Mariupol.
I'm honored, but probably I will be the first director on this stage who will say, I wish I would never made this film. I wish to be able to exchange this to Russia never attacking Ukraine, never occupying our cities.
There we go. Oscar for Best Documentary for 20 Days in Mariupol. This is a very political documentary choice, isn't it?
It is, and this has become something of a trend in the Academy Awards in recent years. Last year, the Academy Award for Documentary went to the documentary portrait Navalny. Images and footage from last year's documentary Navalny were used to launch the In Memoriam segment at this year's Oscars. A reminder that, amidst the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, the world keeps on turning, and sometimes not for the better. The director Jonathan Glazer, who won for Best International Film for The Zone of Interest, evoked a similar sentiment when he accepted his Oscar last night. He connected the climate of apathy and dehumanization that led to Auschwitz to the same brutality that led into the October 7th attacks and the subsequent humanitarian and military crisis in Gaza. It's a sign that even in Hollywood, even on the Oscar stage, there is an awareness of the hardships and the global problems facing everyone right now.
And the Holocaust film, The Zone of Interest, became the first British movie, actually, to win the Best International Feature. That's a film that also began its life at Cannes.
It did. It won the grand prize to the Anatomy of a Fall's Palme d'Or. And both films, interestingly enough, star Sandra Hüller. And so they've been sort of inextricably linked ever since they premiered within days of one another at last year's Cannes Film Festival, both pushed by the same actress, both pushed by the spotlight that the world's biggest film festival can offer to two radically different films that ended up, entwined and celebrating, the same Oscars ceremony with one another.
So overall, Ben, was this a good Oscars for you?
Yeah, I think it was a great Oscars. Oppenheimer is going to get the most ink, but other wonderful filmmakers won Academy Awards last night. You might not know it, but Wes Anderson won his first Academy Award last night. The great Japanese animator Hayao Miyazaki won an Academy Award last night. However, neither of them were in attendance. Wes Anderson is currently in Germany shooting his next film. Mr. Miyazaki is getting up in age, and I don't think he wanted to travel. And so it made for a very bizarre ceremony where, the love was spread around. Wonderful directors, not only Christopher Nolan, not only Justine Triet, not only Jonathan Glazer, but Wes Anderson, Hayao Miyazaki, were all celebrated, although I think Oppenheimer sucked up a lot of the oxygen in the room. That is to say, all but one.
Well, a film that only won one Oscar, it did sort of steal the show. Ryan Gosling's rendition of I'm Just Ken in a hot pink suit with the legendary guitarist Slash. Did you enjoy that moment?
I enjoyed the moment. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed everything about it. Just like The Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall were forever linked, Barbenheimer is forever going to be linked in people's minds as the kind of the blockbuster moment of last month's summer-going season. Oppenheimer might have won all the Oscars. I think you could say that Barbie won the culture. It remains like a massive cultural touchstone, so much so that the big takeaway from last night's ceremony isn't going to be a slap or isn't going to be an envelope mix-up as in previous Oscar scandals. It's going to be the pure joy of seeing Ryan Gosling perform the film's flagship song, I'm Not Ken, and seeing everybody in the audience sing along. It was a wonderful Oscar moment that spoke to the film's success, the film Barbie's success, but also spoke to the ceremony's calm and cool and professional mean. It was a celebration of Hollywood that went off without a hitch, and I think that's cause for celebration as well.
It certainly is. Thank you, Ben Craw, for coming and talking to us about last night's Oscars. We're going to leave you with that moment with Ryan Gosling. Thanks for watching, everyone at home. See you next time.
I'm just kidding.